George Bush is a goat. It is more likely, actually, that George Bush is a goat than God wrote the Bible. So, are you ready to believe that George Bush is a goat? I can prove it to you that George Bush is a goat. It has been written. Somebody wrote it. Can't remember where or when. And somebody also wrote that Dick Cheney is a pig. And is that Rumsfeld guy still around? Or did he get shot? No, he probably didn't get shot because the aliens don't get shot because they are running the industrial military complex. The one that we were warned about, much too late of course, back at the end of during the Second World War. I think it was Dwight Eisenhower who said, "Watch out. I pity the country when some beggaring bastard gets in here who doesn't know what's going on with the military." Well, it happened. The military put in their puppets and even killed ones who didn't like to be their puppet. Who did they kill? Oh, I think that was Mr. Kennedy. I'm not saying Mr. Kennedy was a great man, but he had some grand ideas and that's why he was killed. Okay, now to the goat theory. We are talking about Revelations, by the way. That's why this is getting a bit science fiction, because Revelations is very science fiction. Some people think it was science fiction that's not even written that long ago because of its correlation and its correlation? That's not the right word, but it mimics the stars of a certain time. The whole thing is astrological. The whole thing is astronomical hocus pocus is what it is. Anyway, there's a very good chance that George Bush is an alien and a goat, and that the goats have evolved George Bush to tear down the structure of the human race so that the goats can take over the world. And there's a good chance that Zion is on the backside of the moon. Okay? And when the spaceships went around the moon, they saw Zion. It was a golden city, or is it silver? I can't remember which. And it was shining and glowing with diamonds, and it had 12 doors and 12 disciples and 12 zodiacs and 12 overlords and 12 dozen eggs. And it rises so high into the sky that we can actually see the reflection of the light of the backside of the moon from the city of Zion. Or not. I don't know if this proves that George Bush is a goat, but it does prove that Zion is on the backside of the moon. Remember, the moon is... I used to believe there was a dark side of the moon as well, because we always listen to the Dark Side of the Moon album by Pink Floyd, and so we think, okay, if Pink Floyd talks about the dark side of the moon, then there must be one. Well, the truth is, the moon, although it is tidal locked with our planet, it goes around our planet. So the moon has a 28-day day, or to put it easier, the day on the moon is 28 times longer than an Earth day. Anyhow, there is a backside of the moon that nobody's ever seen, except maybe if there's been a couple of space thingies up there. Anyway, we're on to verse 4. I know I'm being a little bit confused today. I'm going to blame it on the weather. We had some really beautiful weather, and now it's raining again. And it's been raining a lot. And the low pressure system, see, it's the barometric pressure that is sucking out my brain and making me realize and understand and have a religious experience and spiritual enlightenment. My spiritual enlightenment in my talk with God that is why I know that George Bush is a goat. Anyway, I'm getting completely distracted, and there's no reason for it. I just had a really good nap. Verse 4, in a circle round the throne were 24 other thrones, on which were seated 24 elders, dressed in white and wearing crowns of gold. Do you want to go on? Verse 5. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. In front of the throne 7 lighted torches were burning, which are the 7 spirits of God. Also in front of the throne there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. Okay, you can interpret that until it becomes extrapolation. Interpretation becomes extrapolation. Well, actually, most of the stuff we do with the Bible has to be extrapolation because it is very, very confusing. It doesn't really make any sense. You have to force it to make sense. And it's a stupid thing to do, really. But we have done it, and we do it all over the world. There's a book called Quran where they do it as well. And there's a belief now that if Judaism and Christianism is wrong, then Muslimism must be right. And I think there's some people that think that because they are fools. Anyhow, but to stick to this book, I think this has got a lot to do with astrological artwork. I mean, there's no real reason to divide the sky up into 12 zodiacal signs either. That's completely random about how one day Saturn is in front of Virgo's left foot or something. What's it got to do with anything? It's got nothing to do with anything. The stars are a long, long way away from us. The moon has a little bit of influence on us because it does have tidal influence. I mean, there's gravitational force, but the moon is probably not that much compared to the sun. I mean, the sun is pretty well everything. Unless, of course, you have to talk about the planet Earth, which would be... Anyway, this is completely lost. So am I. But number 4, the chapter 4 doesn't really offer much. So that's my excuse. I like it. I'm going to do excuse. This is a bit like Sunday. It's a national holiday, work day, and I'm going to lose some of my fans, I'm afraid. I'm so sorry. Well, that's not true either. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry I don't care anymore. Alright, I'm just going to read it and you can fucking figure it out. Surrounding the throne on each of its sides were 4 living creatures covered with eyes in front and behind. The first one looked like a lion, the second looked like a bull, the third one had the face like a man's face, and the fourth looked like an eagle in flight, which of course is the zodiacal designs. And the fourth looked like an eagle in flight. And the fourth looked like an eagle in flight. I wonder where the Americans got their idea about the eagle. And I wonder why the Jews like to be the lion. Anyway, each one of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings, and they were covered with eyes, inside and out. Day and night, they never stopped singing, the fucking pricks. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was, who is, and who is to come. And what that means is, they're trying to fuck with us. They're trying to fuck with our heads. They're trying to make us think that there is reason for the elite to be the elite, and they will use any argument. And this book is so full of shit, and so borrowed, it's completely not original. And if you wonder who the lion is, of course it's the zodiacal thing, but the Jews like to think of themselves as the lion. And who else is in there? The eagles, maybe that's the American Empire. And if this was written 500 years ago, like some people speculate, it would make sense as to why they would know about the American Empire. Or the American Empire would have been planned. Let's go over and rape the land and make a huge military and take over the world. I mean, it's not a conspiracy, you just have to look. It's called greed. It's called petty, myopic greed. And it's not magical, it's not ordained, it's just simple. The blind leading the blind.